Hey, what's up everyone? So I've been riding the Jockey shift now for about a year, and to my surprise, a lot of people don't know about it. Mostly street bike riders, but people always look at it and they're like, what the hell is that on the side of your bike? And when I explain to them, they're always like, what? You can do that? So I want to talk a little bit why I got into jockey shifting, as well as a little bit of the history. So first, let's get into the name, the jockey shift. So as you've seen jockeys ride horses before, they're usually leaning forward, smacking the horse on the ass. That position is very similar when you're riding a bike. When I'm shifting, I actually have the shifter behind me, so I'm leaning forward so that I can shift. Because when I'm riding up, I can't really reach it, right? So I have to kind of go in order to shift the bike into gear. Now with a traditional motorcycle, you would be shifting with your left foot and using a hand clutch. What this does is you're obviously shifting with this bar and you're actually using a foot clutch. I rerouted the cable so that it goes right here to this adapter. This adapter I got from TJ Brutal Customs. It works really well. It was super easy to install. I mean, with half an hour I had it going. You will have to take the engine mount out and kind of reroute it on the other side to connect the adapter, but it's fairly simple. So similar to riding a car or obviously using your hand clutch, there is a friction zone. Using the friction zone, you obviously push down to disengage the transmission, put it into gear, and then as you're using your throttle to give it a little bit of gas, you're slowly letting off of the foot clutch, and then the transmission engages so you can go forward. So why did I get into the jockey shift? Honestly, aesthetic. Getting into the chopper world, I knew kind of what I liked from seeing other people's bikes. And it's just different. Doing the hand clutch is just like every other motorcycle. I thought this was going to be a bit of a challenge, but also it just looks cool as hell. It is fun pulling up to bikes and people being like, what the hell is that, and once I tell them that this is how I shift, they're just like blown away. But it's not hard. It's actually really easy of a ride. Some people are very intimidated, but I mean, once I put it on there, within 5 minutes I was riding up and down the street, and within a day I was riding on the freeway super comfortable. So a little history of the jockey shift. Now prior to 1952, Harley Davidson actually only had a jockey shifter or a tank shifter, which was very common in most motorcycles. The tank shifter was actually located at the side of the tank, and similar to what I have, you would have a foot clutch on the bottom. Now the way people actually did their motorcycles varied across all different companies. With Harley Davidson, you would have it on the left side of the tank, and you would have a foot clutch on either left or right, depending on where you asked. While Indian motorcycles actually had their throttle on the left side and their hand shifter on the right of the tank. So from 1901 to 1975, you could pretty much get whatever the hell you got. The reason why I say 1901 is that's when Harley Davidson started, but you had Harley Davidson and Indian being the two main American bikes, and while Indian had their shifter on the right side and Harley on the left side, switching from one to the other, depending on when you upgraded your company, you could get multiple different styles of riding. It wasn't until 1975 that the US actually standardized the hand clutch with the foot lever, and then it forced everybody in the industry to switch as well.
Right now I have my Cardo PackTalk Neo, and it has a voice recording feature, so I'm going to go ahead and try to talk about what I'm doing, and hopefully it picks up the audio over the exhaust. It's kind of nice that I can record with this helmet. Hopefully you can hear me talking over the exhaust. I've been looking at a couple of different styles of how to do moto vlogging, but I always worry about listening to the exhaust while I'm talking, and so that's kind of like a big problem, but it is what it is. The biggest thing about jockey shift is you're always going to be leaning on your right? Most motorcycles, you're always leaning on your left because you're using your back brake, right? You can't do that on a jockey shift. You're always leaning on your right because your foot clutch has to be disengaged when you're in gear. If I put it into first, let it go, I die. So you're always going to have to get used to leaning to the right. When you're getting to learn how to ride a jockey shift, learn your friction zone. So for example, if I put it into first gear, now with the Honda Shadow, it's first gear forward, neutral for a half click, and then full click is second, third, fourth, right? If you obviously have jockey shift on bigger bikes, then you obviously have more gears. So got my foot clutch engaged. Well, the transmission is disengaged. I got my foot clutch pressing down. I'm in first gear. Now if I start to let it go little by little, well, I let it go too much. but, you know, that friction zone will pull you. Now, because I have the TJ Brutal Customs adapter, speaking with Sun over at Lane Split, he was like, I've heard from a lot of people that the friction zone is very little, and that is absolutely true. While it is a very easy install and everything just plugs in natively, the friction zone is very tiny, and so you kind of have to get used to it. At this point, I've gotten used to it, so it's fine, you know, but if you make your own custom one, you'll probably have a little bit better friction zone for the actual clutch. What I recommend is give it gas. You know, I've heard a lot of people, when they are learning how to ride, to let go of the clutch, and that when you feel the friction zone slowly start to pull, then you give it gas. I've never really understood that, because coming from the JDM world, I always ride stick. I always give my gas a little bit and let go of my clutch, and then I ride. That's just how I've gotten used to riding, and so I've basically done that over to motorcycles. So I give it a little bit of gas, say, yeah, I'm in gear, a little bit of gas, and then let go of the clutch, and then I can start riding. Now to shift obviously into second, disengage, go into second, give it a little gas, and then I hit the clutch again. And now I'm in second gear. I mean, honestly, riding jockey shift is just like anything. The only thing is you have to get used to riding one-handed all the time. Let's go ahead into this turn. But honestly, it's easy. Like, once you get used to that friction zone and you're used to riding, you know, I mean, I ride like this a lot. I think a lot of people do. You know, coming in right now, I'm obviously pressing down on the foot clutch. Go ahead and give it a little gas. Let go of the foot clutch. It's engaged. And now I'm going. I think it's crazy, though, that, like, you know, prior to 1975, when it was standardized, that you basically got what you got from whatever the manufacturer wanted to give you. I think that's pretty intense. With some of the other Harleys, you would have the shifter right here. And, you know, that's just what it is. Versus, you know, with Indian, you have the throttle here on the left side and the shifter on the right, which is crazy. I'm going to switch into first. Just because I'm at low speed. Get into second. You come around this bend. I'm just going around in this parking lot just to give you examples of how to ride the jockey shift. Now, when it comes to stopping, every motorcycle rider will always tell you stop in gear. And it makes perfect sense. If you have your hand clutch disengaged, giving yourself a little bit of speed, and you're in first, you want to be in gear because in the event that someone's behind you and keeps going and doesn't see you, you're in gear to get out of their way. With jockey shift, honestly, I always come to a stop in neutral. The reason for that is because sometimes you lose your balance, and when you let go of the foot clutch, you kill the motorcycle at the stop. You stall out a lot on jockey shift. It's very common. I don't care how long you've been riding. Everyone stalls all the time, no matter what. But with a jockey shift, it's very common. But I always, you know, pop it into neutral. At this point, I'm disengaged. And then I can stop. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this from the point of view so you can see what I'm talking about. Surprisingly, the microphone, because I listen to the playback on the Cardo, is actually not that bad. Tips and tricks section for how to ride jockey shift, also with a POV. But, you know, I want to just give you some pointers, and I'm going to go just right around the canvas here. But, yeah, always lean on your right. Get used to that. That's just going to be life on the jockey shift because you have to have your foot clutch engaged. Now, one thing, and I'll show you right in a second, I get to a stop, but when you lean your bike, say I'm hanging out here, and I go like this, the bike naturally leans over to the right. Similarly, right, if I turn to the right, the bike kind of leans to the left. So keep that in mind when you're coming to a stop, and I'll show you right here at this stop sign. Go ahead and go into first, hit my accelerator, or my throttle, let go of the foot clutch, and now that I'm coming to the stop, I'm going to lean slightly to the left so that it shoots my bike right, can catch my bike with my right foot, because I'm leaning on my right foot, and I have my left foot right now engaged with the clutch. If I let it go, you stall out, right? Okay, no one around. So throttle, let the foot clutch go just a little bit for the friction, and once you're pulling off, you can start riding around. Now, another thing you're going to be getting used to when riding jockey shift is skating, which is funny because I ride goofy foot and I always push with my left. But now that I'm riding my motorcycle and constantly leaning on my right leg, I'm always skating on my right foot, which is kind of funny. Make sure I'm in first gear, lean to the left, that leans me to my right. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. When you're hitting the throttle and letting go of the clutch, you want to skate your motorcycle and take off. Honestly, riding jockey shift is so easy. You know, anyone that's intimidated by this, you should not be. It is so much fun. You know, people will say all kinds of things, but it's really not that bad. Go into first, use my back brake to slow down, throttle, let go of the foot clutch, and take off. Hop in a second, and go. Now that I have a little bit of downhill, I want to talk about the suicide shifter, right? So, with a jockey shift, people have said suicide shifter. The reason it's suicide shifter is because you have to actually let go of your handlebars. And so you don't have as good control with two hands as you do, or you don't have as good control with one hand as you do with two, right? So that's the suicide shifter aspect. There's actually no suicide shifter. It's really a suicide clutch is really the real name. Let me take off here and get to a downhill so I can explain the suicide clutch. Oop. Sometimes that half click going into second doesn't really go in. Pay attention to your shifters. Let me get to a nice flat surface so you can see what I'm talking about with the suicide clutch and how that name even came to be. Right now I'm on third. I'm in second. And now I am in neutral, and I'm just coasting along. So the suicide clutch actually originated here in San Francisco, believe it or not. The reason is we have tons of hills. And I have a perfect example for you. What it's like with a jockey shifter on a hill. Prior to coming here, the stoplights went out, and so I had to on the stoplight, and I couldn't lane split because I had my GoPro mounted on the left side so you could see me jockey shifting to get that point of view, right? And so in the 70s, you know, with the chopper, it's so much cooler not to have a front brake, right? And I get it. It cleans up the handlebars. It makes it look really good. I totally understand the aesthetic aspect of the chopper not having the front brake. Just having just the handlebar here and just one throttle cable, it looks super cool. But the problem is that when you're a jockey shifter, you can't use your back brake because you're leaning on your right side and holding the foot clutch. You're holding the foot clutch down, disengaged of the transmission. So these guys, these chopper dudes in the 70s in San Francisco, you know, when you go to like North Beach or you go to the Haight, well, what they would do is, since they knew they were going to get stuck on a hill, they can't use their back brake, they have no front brake, they have to have their foot engaged, they would just run reds. If they saw that it was turning yellow, they would just run it. And what was happening is when they would run the red, they'd get hit by oncoming traffic. And so it became the suicide clutch. And, you know, this is what I found online. They're coming to a red light. I'm going to go stop on neutral. I do have this little one. I mean, before I didn't have any rear view mirrors. Like, I'm going to lean to the left, and I land on my right foot beautifully. But, you know, I never watched anyone behind me, but, you know, after being on the freeway tons of times and having the jockey shifter, I was like, nah, maybe I should get a rear view mirror. All right, first gear, throttle. Little bit off of the friction, and we're off. Oh, and I didn't go into second again. This is a cool little vista point right here. Now that I'm going downhill, I'm just going to coast on neutral. I'm going to fly my GoPro, or my drone, right off of here, try to get some cool footage. But yeah, those are tips and tricks on riding the jockey shift. It's really not that hard. You just have to practice it over and over and over, and, I mean, you'll get it down.
Alright guys, that's it for me. Hopefully you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe. All that helps my little channel. And exciting stuff here. If you like the jacket that I'm wearing, I recently partnered up with First Manufacturing Company. They've been around since 1987 creating jackets for motorcycle riders. I really like this jacket. It's made out of recycled canvas, so it's very eco-friendly. But the inside is lined with DuPont Kevlar, so you know, I don't have to worry about scratch resistance in the event of a crash. Cool thing is it also has pockets so you can add more protection. You can add pads to the elbows, the shoulders, and the back. Also, here in California, I probably will never use this, obviously, but if you are in a state that does allow this, let me go ahead and unbuckle this. These snaps are really good. Jesus Christ. Okay. I don't know if you could see this, but it has a holster. So if you're in a conceal and carry state, you have a holster for a pistol as well as two clips on both sides of the pockets on the inside. So, you know, if you need protection for riding and a little added protection as well, you can obviously store and conceal things in these pockets. But honestly, overall, the build quality is just really nice. I really like this jacket. I'm really excited to partner up with them. If you want to pick up your own, you can go to First Manufacturing. I think it's actually firstmfg.com. I'll go ahead and obviously put it right here. I have a promo code, Ramen Rider JPG. So if you use my promo code, you'll get 25% off your entire order. So you can go ahead and add a bunch of stuff and then get a huge discount on that. So check that out. Shout out to those guys for sponsoring me, and I'm really grateful for that. But as well, just like the fact now that I have riding gear, I feel a lot more confident when riding. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.